Good day everyone, I am Ma'am Jenny, your science teacher. And on our previous video lesson, we have talked about the law of dominance and the law of segregation, and we have also solved problems in relation to monohybrid cross. Mendel's laws of inheritance laid the foundation for the understanding of inheritance and variation. On this video lesson, we will be discussing about the second phase of Mendel's experiments, which has something to do with the inheritance of two traits, and such crosses are called dihybrid cross. Mendel's dihybrid experiments. The second phase of Mendel's experiments on garden pea involved the inheritance of two traits at a time. Such crosses are called dihybrid crosses. Mendel selected pure breeding pea plants with round and yellow seeds. He also selected pure breeding plants with wrinkled and green seeds. He cross-pollinated them and found that all of the offspring in the first filial generation from the first parental cross had round yellow seeds. So the parental generation 1 of the dihybrid cross is illustrated or is flashed on the screen. Study it carefully. Note that capital letter R represents round seeds or round pea seeds, which are dominant, over wrinkled pea seeds, which are represented by small letter r. Whereas capital letter Y represents yellow pea seeds, which are dominant, over green pea seeds, which are represented by small letter y. Round yellow, which is capital letter R and capital letter Y. So for you to better understand this one, let us watch this video. So we will cross a pure breeding plants with round and yellow seeds and wrinkled and green seeds. So since round is a dominant trait, we will use capital letter R. Yellow is also a dominant trait, so capital letter Y. Wrinkled is represented by small letter r since it is a recessive trait, and Y is represented by small letter y. For pure breeding round yellow seed, we have this genotype, capital letter RR, capital letter YY. For the wrinkled, we have small letters RR, Y, and Y. For our first parental generation, so we have RR, YY, which are both capital, and small letters R, Y, and Y. So the gametes or the possible gametes is that we will have the foil method. We have RY, 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 and another RY. For the gametes of the wrinkled green seeds, we have small letters R and Y, another small letters R and Y, then another R and Y. So take note that the gametes of the round and yellow are just the same, and the wrinkled and green. So for our first filial generation, if you are going to cross it, you will have one capital letter R, one small letter R, one capital letter Y, and one small letter Y. So let's get into details by using Punnett square. Remember that the gametes of the round yellow seeded is capital letter R and capital letter Y, while for the wrinkled green you have small letter R and Y. So we will write it on the upper part. While for the wrinkled green, we have small letters RY, And then we have we'll cross this, an allele for round and an allele for wrinkled. So we have capital letter R and small letter r, an allele for yellow and an allele for green. So we have Y, which is capital, and small letter y. Since the gametes of the round yellow and the wrinkled green are just the same, so we will just have the same answer. Capital letter R and small letter r, capital letter Y and small letter y. So we will have the same answer all throughout this cross. Sorry for this one. Therefore, we have 100% heterozygous trait. So our genotype is this one. And for our phenotype, we have all round and yellow seeded plants. Alright, the P1 dihybrid cross is illustrated in the figure. Capital letter R represents round pea seeds which are dominant over wrinkled pea seeds, and capital letter Y represents yellow pea seeds which are dominant over green pea seeds. Next, we have the second parental generation. Okay, for you to better understand this figure, let us watch this video. What if we allow the heterozygous individual to self-pollinate? Remember that for heterozygous individual, we have heterozygous round and heterozygous yellow. So we have round and yellow for our parental generation 2. The gametes of the heterozygous round and yellow are as follows. So we have capital letter R and capital letter Y, capital letter R and small letter y, small letter R and capital letter Y. Then finally, we have small letter r and small letter y. Or we have the allele for wrinkled and an allele for green. So for our second filial generation, so we have an allele for round and yellow, an allele for round and green, an allele for wrinkled and yellow, and an allele for wrinkled and green. Same is true with the genotype of the mother. We have this. So let us cross. So we have alleles for round and alleles for yellow, alleles for round, and an allele for yellow and green. So we have allele for an allele for round and an allele for wrinkled, an allele for yellow, another allele for yellow, round and wrinkled, and yellow and green. Next, we have round, yellow and green, round, round, and green, round, wrinkled, yellow, and green. We have round, wrinkled, green. Then we have round, wrinkled, yellow, round, wrinkled, yellow, and green, wrinkled, yellow, wrinkled, yellow, round, wrinkled, yellow, green, round, wrinkled, yellow, wrinkled, yellow, and wrinkled green. So let us interpret. For our genotypic ratio, we have 1 wrinkled or round yellow. This one. So we have 1. We have 2 round yellow, 1 wrinkled yellow. So we have 1 and 2. We have 1. Next is we have 2 round heterozygous yellow, 1 and where is the other one? This one. Then we have 4 heterozygous round and yellow. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we have 2 wrinkled yellow, 1 and 2. We have 1 round green, this one, and then we have 2 heterozygous round and green, 1 and 2, then 1 wrinkled green. Then for our phenotypic ratio, for round and yellow, we have 9. For round and green, we have 3. For wrinkled and yellow, we have 3. And for wrinkled yellow, we have 1. So let us count. Red and yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Round and green, we have round and green and round and green, so 3. We have wrinkled yellow, which is 3. Wrinkled yellow, 3. And 1 wrinkled green. This is green. Alright. Take note that in F1 generation, we have all round and yellow seeds, though heterozygous, and when we allow it to self-pollinate, the F2 generations are as follows. 9 of the 16 offsprings are round and yellow, 3 of the 16 offsprings are round and green, 3 of the 16 offspring are wrinkled and yellow, and 1 of the 16 are wrinkled and green. Mendel explained these observations as follows. The genes for seed shape are inherited separately from the genes for seed color. This is Mendel's law of independent assortment of genes. Mendel's law of independent assortment states that the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independently of one another. In other words, the allele a gamete receives for one gene does not influence the allele received for another gene. The inheritance of seed shape does not influence the inheritance of seed color because the two are independent of each other. Mendel sent the results of his experiments on garden peas to more than 100 scientific societies in Europe. They failed to see the importance of his work. It was forgotten until 1900s when the Three Biologists came across his paper. They were Hugo de Vries, a Dutch botanist, Karl Erich Correns, a German botanist, and Erich von Termark-Zeisenig, an Austrian agronomist. These biologists experimented separately and obtained the same results as Mendel's. Hence, the interest on his laws of heredity was revived, and to this day, much of what we know about patterns of inheritance is grounded on the basic principles formulated by Mendel. Did you know that many gene defects in humans are recessive, such as albinism and sickle cell anemia? Albinism is a genetic condition characterized by the inability to produce melanin pigmentation. An albino typically has fair skin, light brown hair, and light colored eyes. Sickle cell anemia is characterized by defective hemoglobin that causes red blood cells to collapse, resulting in low RBC count. Let us have a sample problem. Given that the capital letter B is for bent little finger and small letter b is for straight little finger, capital letter N for normal skin color, and the small letter N for albinism, if the mother has a genotype of capital letter B, small letter b, capital letter N, and small letter n, what is the mother's genotype? If the father is small letter b's and small letter n's, what is the father's phenotype? Show the gametes produced by the mother and the father. Perform a cross between the mother and the father using Punnett square. Give the genotypic and phenotypic ratios of the offspring from the cross. You may pause this video for you to complete all the answers. Alright, let us compare the answer. Number 1, bent little finger with normal skin. Straight little finger with albinism. So for the gametes produced by the mother and the father, for the cross using Punnett square, and for the genotypic and phenotypic ratio, let me show this one. So capital letter B is for bent little finger, while small letter b is for straight little finger. Capital letter N is for normal skin, and small letter N for albinism. Alright, so the parent with the genotype of capital letter B, small letter b, capital letter N, and small letter n is the mother, while the father has a genotype of small letter b and small letter n. So the possible gametes of the parents are as follows. We have the allele for bent little finger and the allele for normal skin. We have capital B and small n, small b and capital N, then small b and small n. Whereas for another set of gametes of parents, we have PN, small letters, the same.
Then for our first filial generation, let us have the gametes of the mother and the father. So let us cross. An allele for bent little finger. So we have capital and small, capital N and small n. Then we have capital B, small b, capital N and small n, capital B, small b, capital N, small n. The same. These four are the same. And then we have this, the allele for bent little finger and straight little finger. Then for albinism, the allele for albinism. Then another allele for bent little finger and for straight little finger. Alleles for albinism. So as you can see, all of the possible genotypes of the offsprings are the same per column. For the third column, we have the allele for the straight little finger, an allele for normal skin, and an allele for albinism. Straight little finger, normal skin, and allele for albinism, all the same for this column. Then for the last one, we have alleles for straight little finger and for albinism. So since the gametes on the left side are all the same, if you cross the gametes on the last column with the gametes on the left side, so all answers are the same. So for our genotypic ratio, we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And another 1, 2, 3, 4. For our phenotypic ratio, we have bent little finger with normal skin. So bent little finger, normal skin. We have 4. Bent little finger, albino. Bent little finger, albino. We have 4. Then straight little finger, normal. Straight little finger, normal. We have 4. And we have 4 straight little finger, albino. Therefore, for our phenotypic ratio, we have 4 is to 4 is to 4 is to 4. So if we are going to answer for our first filial generation, we have our genotypes are 4 bent little finger with normal skin, 4 bent little finger with albinism. 4 straight little finger with normal skin. And 4 bent little finger with albinism. So our phenotype is already written here. So let us compare our answers. Did you get the same answer? Very good. From the results obtained from Mendel's hybrid crosses, he formulated his last hypothesis. The distribution or assortment of one pair of factors is independent of the distribution of the other pair. The law of independent assortment explains why traits are inherited independent of each other. The law applies to factors or genes that are found on separate chromosomes. Since they are found on separate chromosomes, the segregation of one pair of factors is not affected by the segregation of the other pair. Therefore, their distribution in the resulting gametes will be at random.
Point, let us check your understanding. Number 1. An organism has a genotype, capital letter A, small a, capital B, and small b. This organism produces gametes with how many possible combinations of alleles? A1, B2, C3, D4. Number 2. An organism of genotype, capital A, small a, capital B, small b can make gametes of all following kinds except A, B, C, and D. Number 3. If AABB is crossed with AABB, two small letters, what proportion of the offspring would be expected to be? A. 9/16, B. 1/8, C. 1/4, D. 4/16. Next we have number 4. If capital letter P is for purple flower and small letter P is for white, and capital letter T is for tall plants and small letter T for short plants, a 2 small letter T, 1 capital letter P, and 1 small letter P plant would be A. Purple and tall, B. Purple and short, C. White and tall, D. White and short. And number 5. What is the genotype for a pea plant heterozygous for round seeds and homozygous recessive for green seeds? A, B, C, and D. Alright, let us have the answers. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So here is the test cross or the computation. Number 4 and number 5.